Hello. So today I've been working on a griffin automata, and basically I want him to run around and flap, and eventually he'll be in a 3D sculpture, but to prototype it I'm just using manila folders and brads, those little metal things you stick paper together with to build this prototype. I'll show you my supplies. So I cut out a bunch of discs from the manila envelopes. I'll be using those as cams, which are these wheelie bobs here, and scissors to cut that out with, a pokey metal thing to put holes in these. I was using the scissors, but it just wasn't as clean. These are the brads. Pliers with a wire clipper, pen for drawing stuff. Let's see, what gauge wire is this? This is steel 20 gauge wire. Okay. And Scotch tape. Cool. So this is my guy. I kind of put him together earlier as this sort of shadow puppet kind of creature earlier. But before I started adding some of his clockwork in, I made this prototype leg just to see if maybe some of the things I wanted to do would work. And this leg kind of works okay. You can see it does move, but it doesn't really look much like a leg. It almost looks more like a finger. So this might be a good setup for making some kind of creepy hand or spider creature later. If I put a pin here, it would limit the motion of this thing, and that way when I do this I would get more of a leg shape because it would push it in. So I learned a good lesson from this leg, and then I applied it to this guy. So I'll tell you what I've got here. So like I said with that leg, I was having weird issues with the joint flipping out. So I put this sort of pin here sticking up so that this will hit this and force the elbow to make a joint like that. It'll also limit the torso motion a bit. And then I've got a wire attached to this joint on his front foot. A little circle of wire, a little loop that makes this wire pivot in the center here. Otherwise it would just kind of like flail all around and who knows where the leg would go. But what it does is it limits the leg motion to a circular rotation on this side from the circular rotation here. And then I have this second wire coming here to his belly, and I used one of the brads to put that on there so that it's loose and not stiff, because if it's stiff it'll just rip the paper and stuff. And then I've temporarily taped his leg and his beak down just to keep his body in place, because right now I'm just working on this area. On any project it's important to just work in small areas. Don't overwhelm yourself with the whole thing, and that makes it pretty simple. And so now I'll show you what this guy kind of does right now. So I made a little wire handle from this wire, and I'm just going to rotate that. Whoops. Kind of have to hold the paper down. So he's kind of reaching forward and going up, and his body's going up and down. And that's a pretty good run for his front. I might try to add a couple more pins like this to do things like make his front claw flip up and down as he's going around. And actually that rotation is something that right now I have this wire attached to his wrist, but I could do something where instead I attach it to maybe his back claw, and that might give me the rotation I'm looking for. I just have to play with it and figure it out. Other things I want him to do that he isn't yet, I want his head to kind of go up and down and his mouth to open a little bit, like he's really chasing and breathing hard after something. I want the back leg to run, of course. I want his tail to sort of do this motion up and down. I want this back pelvis to go up and down, opposite of what the front's doing. And it almost kind of does it right now, but it'll add greater motion later. And I think I can control this area by putting a second cam here and then make these two cams into gears, and it'll all be controlled by this one motion. So I won't have to, you know, rotate here and rotate here to make him work. I also think that I can put sort of a piece of wire over the very top of the cam and give this cam a cut-in edge that's raised and have that sort of resting on top here. And I think I can use that to make his wings come up and down. I don't know if I can do it in this paper form. I'll have to experiment with that and sort of figure it out. Maybe I'll even make his little ears flap that way too. We'll see. And it also might be cool if I give him some kind of sliding paper eyelid so he's kind of like blinking, and offset the motion so it's not all happening at the same time. So maybe every couple rotations he blinks, and that'll give him some extra life, I think. And so this is my first automata attempt, and I think it's going relatively well. I thought it was gonna, I don't know, be a little more tricky than this. Oh, and other things I want to do later, like the big idea, is to have a giant star field kind of rotating around the back of him and having phases of the moon kind of pass, and maybe some clouds or something coming. Like he's just chasing something across this sort of dark starry sky, like over a long period of time. And perhaps I'll have things happening in the background beyond just the star movement and the cloud movement and the moon movement, to really make him feel like he's traveling somewhere. And yeah, I think that's it for now. I'll try to make another video once I get him fully functioning. Oh, I'll show you this one more time. Whoops. So I know it's not super impressive, but I'm pretty pleased. Whee!